What's going on? This is Shamus with the Educate to Elevate podcast coming to you on a Friday. My audience always knows that I only bring people that bring value to this community. This is my brother here. We all call him Uncle Charles. He's the grandfather of creative finance. Uncle Charles, tell him where you're from and what you do. Let the world know.
Well, thank you so much, everybody listening here, man. I appreciate you bringing me on. It's an honor for me to come on your podcast. Look, I live in San Antonio. I'm originally from New Orleans, but I want to say I'm from the South. You know, where we do it hard, man. We go hard or we go dirty. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
The dirty South. But
Yes, sir.
we do real estate, man. We do real estate. Me and my partner Mike, we just a couple real estate guys, and we grew this thing into something. I think it's turning into something beautiful, and we like to share our message. We like to share knowledge. We like to bring people up. We like to extend a hand to individuals who, don't see an out because we were there, and we help out everybody, man. It's not just those individuals who need a hand, but I like to say anybody who wants to bring it, man. If they want to jam with me, I got them, man. And man, I want to clear one thing up. There's a lot of OGs I respect that are older than me. So I just want to say, I go by Uncle Charles. I don't want to be the godfather or grandfather because I don't want to piss off those OGs, man.
For sure. And that's crazy. I met you guys about 3 or 4 years ago. And when I first seen you guys, and I actually talked to Mike about this, is when you was on the Steve Trang's podcast, and Steve's telling a story about how you hit him with like 150 HUDs because he had to start checking. 297. Oh, that's exactly. So 300 HUDs. So that's hilarious. I remember that. But yeah, so I like to start off the podcast a little bit different. Everybody knows that, I'm in the real estate, you're in the real estate. I like to start out with the personal stuff, like where you came from. You was telling me how you grew up, and it's called Violentville. I'm from the South Bronx. I seen crazy stuff at 8, 9 years old. So tell a little bit of people about that.
People ask me, man, and people from the street like you understand what I mean. Mm-hmm. What I call it, Violentville, USA, is where nobody's coming to help. Mom and dad maybe just too busy or too drunk or too jacked up to look out for you. You're 5, 6 years old. You're on the street, man. And I'm not saying living on the street. Anybody who's from the street understands what I'm saying. You learn in the street.
Yeah.
And man, growing up in New Orleans, Houston, Corpus, San Antonio, we moved around a lot from the different cities to cities, but it was always in the hood, man, or in the barrios, and there's a difference, guys. Hood, I kind of barrio, I mean more Hispanic. Hood, I mean more, African American. Mm-hmm. But we all going through the same struggle, man. It don't matter what color you are, man. You're going through the same struggle. You're facing people that are there. You're facing violence. You're facing depression. You're facing negativity, frustration. You're facing the law. Getting pulled up, and it's just all that craziness, man. That's where my existence started, just like yours.
Yeah, same thing. Like I was telling you, man. Like I grew up in the Bronx. Same thing. 8, 9 years old. I'm out running the streets, playing basketball, taking a train to a bus 2 hours away, and they're like, "Yo, this dude is 7 years old, 8 years old." But that's all I knew. Like I didn't have anybody around me that was like, "Hey, you got to go to college. You got to, let me teach you about real estate." When we were growing up, I know for me it was like either I want to be a ball player or a rapper. That's all I knew. I was like, man, I'm athletic, but I'm not a freak of nature to make it to the NBA, and I did do music, but we didn't have no other out, so for guys like yourself that's pouring into the community, I know for me, you was one of the first ones that I started listening to that I heard talk about creative finance. I'm like, what does he talk about? You don't need no money or nothing. And that's when we started, following you, So how did you get into real estate? I know you said you went to, you got a BBA in business and finance. How did you move or pivot into real estate?
Well, just little quick note, I had a really crazy mind shift, man, before I got into school. Because before that, man, I was on a path. I was on the path, the real path of destruction, man. And I won't go into a lot of explanation on that, but trust me, man, it was traveling around the United States like I do now, but for other reasons. And it was
I know.
it was had access to a lot of money, but for other reasons.
Yep.
And I had access to a lot of individuals who just don't play, man. That's where my life was at. I mean, I started to hear plugged in for the first time the other day. I mean, there's certain things I can't do because of my past.
Same
And
here.
I
Same
was
here.
going down that road, and one day, man, I just got accused of something that was just horrific, and it hurt me a lot. It hurt me. It hurt me. It hurt a big part of my life, and I had to make a decision. Do I continue to go? This was hard, guys. If you're paying attention to this, I want to share something with you. I don't want to jump off, Shamus, what you asked me, but I want everybody to know something. I want to talk about this more and more as I talk more and more about, because I hardly ever talk about my past.
Hmm.
Guys, it's effing hard to live one way and say it stops today and you go this way.
Yeah.
Because this side's going to pull on you so hard. I mean, and especially the world that we come from. You got all your friends, you got the fucking the status. It's going to pull at you, man. But I knew I had to make a decision because I had a kid.
Yeah.
And I got into school. I had been in the army because I went to the army at 17. I got a GED. That's all I had. And so fast forward to like 24 years old, I wanted to go to school. I said I got to change my life. And so I got into remedial college, and then started going. I finally got to university, and I graduated with a degree in business and finance. And I found myself with a degree in business finance, and nobody would hire me.
Yeah.
So I said, "Hey, fuck it, I'm gonna start my own company."
Yeah.
And I got into credit. I was lucky enough to get with some boys that were running at the time a large credit restoration company around the whole nation,
Hmm.
and that's where I got exposed to real estate because I was going to real estate offices and mortgage offices, and I got into mortgages. And in 2003, within 6 months, I'm the type of guy that gets in there and I want to learn everything. Within
Same.
6 months, I took over a broker shop. And then I took over a mortgage bank shop. And then I took over another mortgage bank. So I was running two small mortgage banks. Guys, a mortgage bank is somebody with a computer and a few guys.
Yeah.
I was running two mortgage banks and a mortgage broker shop, and I was on top of the world. But you have to understand something that I understand today at a late age is you got to talk to people. You got to learn shit. You got to have mentors.
Yep.
Because when the crash came, I had made about $3.2 million. I thought I was on top of the world. We're closing 60, 70 deals a month because I had three mortgage companies, basically two mortgage banks and a mortgage broker shop. And I lost it all. By 2011, I had filed bankruptcy twice already, lost everything. In December 2011, I had $700 in my pocket from 3.2 million. And people ask how, because when the government gets involved, they don't
They
mess
take
around,
it.
man.
Yeah. They take it all.
You file bankruptcy, they ain't messing around.
Yeah.
And that's what I had. And what I did is I rolled the dice and said, am I going to just go all the way backwards? And I thought about that stuff.
Yeah. We always
I thought
do.
about it, man.
Yeah.
I said, am I going to go backwards? And you want me to tell you, I've never said this to nobody. I swear to you, I've never said this to nobody. There's only a handful of people that know this, man. It was 2011. I lost everything. I had gotten fat. I used to be thin, and I was like desperate. And I went to see a friend of mine. I've never said this to nobody, bro. I'm going to tell you today because you shared with me something somebody else shared, and I came here to give value, and I
Appreciate
came
it.
here to be fucking real.
Appreciate it. Same here,
And
brother.
man, it bothers me. I kind of get a little emotional, but I dare get emotional. But I just remember, I just think about that, and I wasn't to go get that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were gonna front it to me.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started making calls, I realized I'm not that guy no more.
Yep.
I'm not that guy no more. I'm not that guy who's gonna come and make sure you're doing what you said you were supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I
Yeah.
knew this, not for that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I can't do it.
Yeah.
I realized, I have family members get killed over shit like that. I realized, man, I, I, I'm I'm not that fucking guy. And
Yeah.
what's gonna end up
Yeah.
happening is I'm probably gonna get killed, hurt, or some shit because I'm not that guy no more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I ordered an LLC. It was called Home Buying, Home Selling. And January 2012, I had $200. By the end of the month, I had almost $30,000.
That's what's up.
I
God is
started a real
good.
estate company, and then Mike met Mike, and here we are.
That's. I appreciate
That's
you sharing that, man. I appreciate you sharing that because
yeah. I didn't think
you
it was gonna
know
bother me, man. When it just came out, I didn't know, but it kind of bothered me right now because I can remember like, damn, I was that close to falling
to
back.
going back. Yeah, and it's funny. I say this all the time. When you come from that, and you know that, I mean, and that's all you know. That's the first thing you pivot back to. Instead of looking at a different industry, you're like, damn, I know I can do this, but then you run the risk of getting killed, ending up in jail. And it's definitely hard because I even talk to my wife sometime, and I'll share something with you as well. In 2018, we had filed bankruptcy twice. We had to do it twice. We was in foreclosure. We had a seven-figure company, a uniform company, and I got burnt out and didn't want to do it no more. Closed it down, wind up losing everything. And from like 216 to 218, those are two of my darkest years because I felt I left my family down. I'm like, everybody
Mhm.
counts on me. I'm the one in the family. But that also was the time that I started to pick up books and get closer to God. And I started listening to that voice more. And I was telling my guy yesterday, I took 5 shots at real estate and got distracted and detoured 4 times in a row. And I'm like, this must not be for me,
Mhm.
But I believe that when you're on your path to greatness, that you're gonna get distracted from every direction because God doesn't want you. I mean, God wants you to be on one path, and everybody else and the negative energy wants you to be on another path. But you got to just listen to that inner voice. And for you, that inner voice was, "Don't do it." Don't do it. So
Yeah.
you know, I tell everybody, you got God on one shoulder and you got the devil on the other shoulder. You have to know the difference between those voices. You know,
He's always there, man. He's always there
always.
trying to bring you down, man, one way or the other, man.
Exactly, exactly. So how did you meet Mike?
So I'm married. I've been with my wife for 19 years, and she had two children, and I had one, and we finished raising those children together. I met my kids at they were 13 and 8, and I helped raise them. And they're really good kids. And my son and Crystal, she's a really good girl. She's a really good person, man. She ended up meeting Mike, and
Okay.
I met Mike. He was still in the army, and he got stationed here, and we just got good. We just bonded. We just got good, and I kept telling him about real estate, and I told him one day, "Dude, just get your license. I'll pay for it. Let me show you what I do."
Yeah, he told me
And
that.
so we just became partners, man. We set some really strong ground rules when we first started the company. When it took off, we live by those rules today. We call it the 4 pillars,
Mhm,
and we've never really had an argument. We've had a few disagreements, but
mhm,
we live by those 4 pillars, and we turned this little company we started into this thing that we run now that we continue to grow,
mhm.
and it's just been a blessing for me and to know him. So that's how we met. Through he actually married her. So
Okay, okay. Yeah, he
yeah.
he told me how because I had asked him how, it's so tell us a little bit about how your operation is set up because one thing that Mike was telling me about is, the structure of the office and like the team. How did you go about building that team? What do you look for when bringing somebody on board?
Yeah. So, I mean, the most important things that we share with our team here is 5 main things. For example, they know that Mike and me, the HBHS is 50-50,
Mhm.
everything, losses and wins.
Yep.
We both have the power to say no to each other. No oversees everything. If it's a deal, whatever, we just no. We both have the power to, everything's HBHS. So they all
Mhm.
know that. If we do that, they do it. Everything that we do is HBHS. Everything comes into, there's no side deals. You want to do side deals, you got to do it on your own. You're here
Mhm.
banging with us, it's everything's in here. And then we both have the power to stop arguments. So I usually get kicked out of his office. uh, we stop arguments or disagreements rather. So
Yeah.
that's how we run the company. The fifth thing is everybody here understands that they're here to work with, not for us. So we have no employees.
Mhm.
There's an office right now out there of about 12 guys. They
Mhm.
all work with us. They come in every single day. They bang. They get shit done. but they're working with us, not for us. And the reason I wanted to do that type of scenario, I had told Mike, I had already ran offices before, and I had took my experience from the Army, the street, and running credit registration companies and mortgage banks and mortgage broker shops. And I said, man, I want to have an office where people come work with us and not for us. I don't want to have somebody that I'm paying to do a job that they're doing mediocre. I want people in here that
Right.
understand that they're going to come bang and do something powerful for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all they need is a missing piece that we're providing.
Yep.
And so together, that's how we run it. That's how we run the office.
Yeah, that's yeah. You guys definitely got a good team there, a tight team. Like I said, I've been watching you. Let's talk a little bit about creative finance. Like most of the structure for the deals that you do, I know you do subject to, you do lease options. Let's talk about like some of the, the creative finance strategies and what mainly you take how you taking down your properties now.
So a lot of people, a lot of people sometimes think that we do work completely wholesale, and some think that we're completely credit financing. But we actually do a mixture of everything. So we have a wholesaling division. We have Mike primarily runs the sub two and the flips, and I
Hmm.
probably do all the credit financing, splitting dirt, anything that has to do with complicated deals or multifamily.
Okay.
And then we run acquisitions, and we have dispositions. It's all spread out. We have a JV guy, so everybody has a role to play. When it comes to credit financing, a lot of people ask me, "What is that, or how can I find it?" And I say to them, "Well, you can't really find credit finance deals. You have to learn how to identify them."
Yeah.
So how do you identify them? What's simple? And I'll give you what I share with my guys. And I'll break it down all the different strategies that I teach them.
Okay.
So if I say to them, if you find a wholesale, and there's a way to understand a wholesale, right? So you found it,
Hmm.
you find a flip. Because if you find a flip, you find a wholesale. It's the same thing. It's just two different
Yeah.
strategies. If you
Hmm.
find either one of those, you find a hotel. So the hotel, though, I tell them has to be just a little bit slightly smaller. It's going to be a better, not smaller, a better acquisition price. But if
Hmm.
you find either one of those, that's one strategy. That's one way of finding three different exit strategies. And
Correct.
so there it is. Now you understand what you're looking for because we tell them what to look for. When it comes to subject to, simple. There's a mortgage. The first thing you're thinking is subject to, right? If we find an individual who has a property that's functional and it's making money, whether it's a duplex, whether it's a small plex, 8 to 10 units or something, or anything that's functional, that's making money, then I'm thinking creative finance.
Hmm. Okay.
Because if they're not willing to take the offer that I'm willing to make them, but they still need to sell, then we have to figure out a way to get them what they want, while at the same time we get what we want. And I'll give you a good example. We recently picked up a fourplex in Corpus Christi where the lady wanted 225, but the thing was really worth 195.
Okay.
And so she was being unreasonable. But we saw the units were in pretty good condition. They were all rented out except for one, which needed a little bit of work, which was okay with us.
Hmm.
The rents that she was charging were about 150 under rental comps, so that was a good thing. And so
Hmm.
I said to her, I said, "Look, I'll give you what you want, but this is the payment that I want to make." Notice I didn't say interest rate, I didn't say down payment. I'll
Yeah.
give you the payment that I want to make. If I can get the term that I want, if I can get you to pay the term that I want, I'll give you what you want. I'll give
Hmm.
you $1 million if you give me 1,000 years to pay.
Yeah.
You see that? You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
You want $1 million?
Yeah.
I'll give you $1 million, but I need 1,000 years. I need 1,000 years to pay. So,
Yeah.
so when you start looking at things like that, you're like, if I get the term that I want, then I'll do the deal. So, for example, on that particular deal, I set the payment, but she was stuck on rate. And whenever somebody talks to me about rate, I'm like, um, what are you talking about? I mean, are you going to give me a loan or something? Because I'm not asking you for a loan. I'm giving you what you want. So it freaks them out because no, I'm not giving you a loan. Well, then why are you charging me an interest rate? Am I giving you what you want? You asked for 225. I'm giving you 225. So, you have to find a way how to talk to people. Sometimes they ask me for down payment, and I'm like, look, let me ask you a question, Shamus. If I give you $20,000, you're going to have to give me credit. That means that we're going to finance 205.
Hmm.
Okay, but I can't do the deal at the price that you want. It's already over market value because I got to put $20,000 in the property. I go, why don't we do this? I'll still put the $20,000 into your property. Notice I said your property, into
Hmm.
your property, and you keep the 20,000. Don't give me no credit. So finance me at 225, and you still force me to put $20,000 into this thing, and you get the price that you want. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And so it's just a way. It's how you talk to people and how you set up the numbers. So, for example, in that situation, I set up that deal on a 240 amortization, 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I had first set it out at 15, but she wanted an interest rate, so I agreed to a 2% interest rate. But I said the things are going to change, so that I can't pay that 2% at this amortization. So I stretched it out to 240, right? Because
Gotcha.
that dropped the payment again. So I don't really care about the 2%. I put no down payment down, and I got the deal that I wanted. Balloon at 10 years. In 10 years, I think will be practically paid off. The appreciation will have gone up on that property. I'll
Mm-hmm.
refinance, let's just say at 40%. I'll cash her out. I'll have a property that has 60% equity in 10 years, and the thing's cash flowing. Plus
Yep.
rents
Yep.
continue to go up. So that's how I look at credit financing. It's how you talk to people, what you're saying to people, and how you're putting numbers together. So that's a good
Yeah.
example of credit financing.
Yeah. And that's it's good when you have multiple exit strategies because what I was, try to teach my guys here is that we want to become a transactional company, meaning if we have 100 leads that come in and they do want to sell their house, let's find a solution, whether it's a wholesale, hotel, fix and flip, creative finance, subject to, whatever it is, because obviously they want to sell their home,
Yeah.
right? You just didn't give them the terms that they accepted, or for some reason, you can't come to those numbers. And then what happens with most wholesalers, they only have the one exit strategy. They're like, oh, it's a wholesale deal. That's it. I have to get it at 50% of the ARV. And you're going to get 100 FUs before you get somebody that even will listen to what you have to say. So what we do here too is the first thing when we get a property, we buy it where we can wholesale it. But then we say, okay, we can make a 20K fee on that, right? Okay, that's cool. That's our average spread is about 23,000. If we could just dump 10 grand in it and make 40, we're gonna dump 10 grand in it and make
Yeah.
40. If we could fully renovate it, like we just got one in Johns Creek where we paid 440 for it, we're gonna dump 60 into it. The ARV is 750.
Yeah.
So that's a nice spread. So it's
Yeah.
definitely good to have different strategies. So that's good that you teach your people that. What is your let's say you get per month, say 20 deals, 30 deals, 40 deals. How many of them are subject to? How many of them are just cash purchases? How does your structure look?
So the office here gets anywhere from, we average anywhere from 17 to 25 contracts on the wholesaling side. That
Okay.
doesn't mean that we're closing, 17 to 25. I mean, there's been months where we close, 17 deals. There's been months where we close 9 deals. I mean, I'm just being
Yeah.
real. I
Mhm.
hear a lot of people say, I'm closing 50 deals a month. I'm like, shit. I mean,
You
okay,
getting
that's,
50 you getting 50 under contract.
I'm like, wait a minute, how big is your team? Because goddamn, I know what it is to clear title. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
little difficult, but whatever, man.
yeah.
So that's on the wholesaling. On the sub twos, before there was a seller's market, Mike and I were hovering anywhere from 8 to 12, 8 to 12, average, sometimes a little bit more. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean we were keeping all of them, because sometimes we facilitate sub two transactions for other investors who want them. We make our piece on it. Um, so we scale that back down a little bit, because in a seller's market it's hard to do subject to.
Yeah,
But now that the market's cooling, it's going to get crazy with that type of strategy.
yeah.
And then on credit financing, with credit financing, man, you know, I want to say we look at a lot of deals, but we probably take down anywhere from 4 6 deals
Okay.
with that strategy. But what people have to understand is it's not just a house. Maybe it's a small plex or a piece of land or some shit.
Yeah.
It's always something different. We try to go out. We wholesale multifamily here too, so we're constantly trying to get one or two multifamilies. We do dirt here, so we're always getting lots. Every month we're moving lots for small pieces of land. Right now we have 300 acres in North Texas. We have another 150 acres South Texas. So we're always moving land. It's just an assortment of deals. So if I had to say monthly, what are we putting our hands in? What are we looking at? We constantly have anywhere between, I want to say, maybe 40 deals in the pipe that we're kind of like messing around
Gotcha.
with.
Okay.
So I want to say around there. I mean, Mike works on a lot of stuff. Sometimes I don't know what he's working on. So, and I work on stuff that sometimes like right now I'm working on a mobile home park in Ohio. It's 5 mobile homes. I haven't told him about it. If we close it, he'll be like, "Oh shit, it's great." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Yeah.
so, you know, it, so it's just. I mean, let me share something with you guys. Back in last year, not this December, January, the year before, we got into the stacking stuff. We were stacking problems, right? And I believe in that system. I do,
Mhm.
but not on a big scale. You gotta if you stack data, three, four, five, and it's good for a small team. It's not good for a big team because you run out of leads real quick.
Real quick.
Now that's first thing. If you stack six deep, seven deep problems, I'm talking about code violations,
Mhm.
liens, out of state on. You can stack all this shit, and you're gonna come up with files that you're gonna be able to get contracts on quick. And I'm gonna tell you something, guys. Back in it was not this past November, December, January, the year before, we had 82 deals in the pipe. That's a lot of
Oof.
deals, man.
Yeah.
And by January, Michael and I had sat down twice to cut and let go of most of those deals. Like we
Okay.
came in, we got to cut half of them right now. Boom. We came in again late January, got to cut the other half because we bottlenecked.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
all great, guys, to get contracts, but you got to get contracts that close.
Close.
And
That's it.
so there's a lot of strategies out there. People are teaching a lot of good stuff, and it's good. Like we're always listening, and we're like, oh shit, stacking. Let's stack. We got a lot of data, and yeah, but we got a lot of contracts we couldn't close, and so
Yeah.
there's pros and cons to everything, man. I'm comfortable with what we're doing right now. We're aligning ourselves more with some other individuals around the country now that we want to do more stuff. For example, we recently invested into Investor Lift,
Okay.
and because we want to take our wholesale division, which has always been about 30% of our company,
Mhm.
we want to take that. We want to 10x that shit,
Yeah.
and so we're really going to focus now on really
Dispo that to
getting
mhm.
wholesaling off the ground to a point we've never done it. Even though we probably do more wholesaling than a lot of people, a lot of
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people, we
Yeah.
want to take it to another level. And the reason for that, if you guys don't know this, the economy, we're probably in a recession, guys. When the economy
Yep.
is fixing to really take a slump, there's going to be a lot of people that got to sell.
Yep. A
And so this
lot.
is going to be a fabulous time to get into wholesaling. Everybody says
Mhm.
wholesaling right now. Oh man, you can't find deals. Trust me. If you learn how to do that shit now,
You can find them.
and you get good now, when this economy really takes a downturn, there's going to be a lot of people wanting to sell, man.
Exactly. Especially if you understand systems and processes and follow-ups and CRMs, you're
Yeah.
gonna crush it, because everything, you know, we was actually on an abiding video with Dr. Ferris, and he was talking about how he has a couple of billionaire friends. And he was saying that they was telling him right now is the time to liquidate because everything is going to come down and it's going to, we're going to have food shortages and everything, and it's going to be the biggest transfer of wealth in US history, like worse than the Great Depression. So, but it's also going to be the time for people like us to help people that can't help themselves. That's the main thing he was saying, is be prepared to help people with everyday needs that that you're not going to be like they're not going to be able to get and survive. Everybody's not like us. We think, I know when I hire somebody, I'm like, man, he should do this, he should do that, and my buddy was like, bro, it's only 1% of us. Like, everybody's not like you. Nobody's, we think, even with when it comes to training, like, hey, you should know how to, you should have went to university, you should know all of this, but in hindsight, they really don't.
Yeah. I mean, I heard you say something that's very important, helping people, we both come from a world where nobody helps, man. And
Nobody.
and I don't know if you felt this way, but a big part of my life, I was very protective of what I had, and
Mhm.
sometimes I have to struggle with that still, I'm a little protective of some things, But about 20 years ago, I was like, man, I'm gonna try this thing people talk about, give,
Mhm.
because I always thought that was bullshit.
Yeah.
But you know me, man. A lot of people say it, and I appreciate it. I'm real humble when people say this, but I do try to give, man. I try to share with people. not only with people in the industry, with people that are losing their properties. You have to do the right thing, because it'll
Hmm.
come back on you. You can't do this business for a long time doing fucked up shit,
Yeah.
because sooner or later, people are gonna know you're the guy.
Yep.
That's the guy. Stay away from him. He ain't no good. And so, man, they don't matter where you come from. For you guys that are listening, it don't matter where you come from. I got guys in here, man, that been locked up. I got
Hmm.
guys in here, man, that just horrific stories. There's only three things that I fucking say, hey, man, don't come to my office with that shit. Is
Yeah.
if you play with kids
You know.
in that type of way, you some type of rapist, or you do treason. Don't come
Yeah.
at me. Don't come in my
With
office
that
with that bullshit.
at
Anybody
all.
else, man, we all make mistakes,
Hmm.
and we all deserve. We deserve to earn a second chance.
Yep.
We deserve to earn a third or fourth chance, as long as we're on that path. And so with my guys, man, I'm real big on, like what you're saying right there, man. I'm real big on that, man. I just went out there a minute ago because I told you Shartino's here. I
Hmm.
said, guys, this is a guy that's in my office. I respect him like immensely,
Hmm.
and you guys are all adults. But it would highly disappoint me if any of you guys got in your phone while he's teaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show the respect that you want, man. And so I'm all about that, man. So
Yeah. It's definitely, and it's funny, like, it's more of us, me and you, than it is them. And what I mean by that is more people like us that come from where we come from, they're the ones that really need the help, right? Because I think the school system is all screwed up, education is
yeah.
all screwed up. That's why 87% of the country lives paycheck to paycheck because we're following their system, right? But how are they getting taught other? They're not.
Well, when I went to school, when I went to University of Texas, they made me go through these etiquette courses,
Hmm.
and I didn't know what that shit was. And people don't realize, if you've never been to school, if you've never been to university, or if you've never had any formal training, that there's the people you see that have these high paying jobs, or stature and stuff. Guys, they're sent to learn how to act, learn how to eat a certain way, learn how to present, learn how to conduct themselves.
Hmm.
And I was like, God damn, like I understand now why we are so far behind,
Facts.
because
Yeah.
ain't nobody teaching that shit in the hood or in the barrio.
At all,
Yeah,
and like I said, I believe that we were put down here to lead the people because they need individuals like yourself and like me to kind of guide them in a direction because like you said, when you hit that fork in the road, some people keep going right because they don't see no light down
yeah.
the other end. And it's our responsibility to
And it's not
teach them
easy,
like,
man.
hey,
It's a struggle, man.
yeah,
I
it
went
is.
through I went through school, man. I wanted to quit every fucking day, but I was up to 3 in the
Facts.
morning studying, sleeping 4 or 5 hours a day for almost. It took me like almost 8 years, but I got it. And then when I got it, I couldn't do shit with it. But you know what I had? I had
Experience.
I
Yeah.
wear this thing was pride, man. I had something came over me, man. Okay, I wasn't that guy. I was somebody else.
Yeah.
And it may not be school, guys. It may not be school, but you gotta find yourself, man. You gotta find. I didn't ever believe in that. I thought that shit was weak, but I
Yeah, for
believe it
sure.
today. You gotta find yourself,
Yeah.
and you gotta know, man. You're better than what you're doing, and no matter what you're doing, even if it's good, you're still better than that because you can do better. You can do better tomorrow. You can do better by someone
Yep.
else. And man, and that's how I live, man. I want to do better every single day because Shamus, I tell everybody that gets to know me, I owe life.
Yep.
I owe life. And one day I'll share why. But I owe life, man. I owe everything that I can share with someone, I owe life, man. That's why I conduct myself the way I do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy as we grow, as we get older, we start to see, how much in our 20s and 30s we messed up. And I always say, I'm like, man, if you could just take me right now, take me back to
Hmm.
20 years old, I'll be running a Fortune 500 company, leading a nation. But I think the experience of going through what we go through is what builds us into the character that we are today. Like, I wouldn't change anything. I got kicked out of the seventh grade with a firearm. right? Like
Yeah.
I was a wild, wild cowboy. And I was talking to Eric yesterday. I said, what made me want to keep living is when me and my wife, we had our first child. Because God knows I should have been under the prison. Like
Yeah.
I should, and it was me looking at him saying, like, he needs you. Don't do to him what was done to you. And this is something that's and I think I shared this with Mike. I work better with women than I do men. I don't
Mm.
know why. My daughter does something and I'm like, it's okay. If my sons do it, I'm like, well, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Then I realized when I was getting my NLP practitioner's license is I grew up in a single household, family household. It was my mother. And I only met my father twice. And the second time he came, he beat my mother. So every time I'm interacting with a male that doesn't do what he's supposed to do, whether it's my son, a coworker, whatever it is, I look at them as my father figure.
Mm.
Like you guys just can't do what you're supposed to do. And I got to, and I lose my lid sometime. I'm better at it now, but I wasn't, you know, I wasn't trying to find myself, like you said. Like this year is the first year Tanya Oliver.
I think I've heard of her. Yeah. Yeah.
She's a self-improvement coach. She, Chris uses her Carlos Reyes. I just hired her and she started pointing things out to me that I never even looked at. She's like, you're going through these things now because this happened to you when you was a kid. And you have to dig inside and fix it.
Man, brother, it's you dragging stuff out of me I don't want to talk about, man. but but I'm gonna tell you something, man. In 2010, I was losing my shit, man. By 2000, I just told you by 2000 January 2012, I had lost it. But in 2010, man, I never believed in this shit because I thought it was weak. I thought weak people, man, counseling's for weak people, man.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and I was having me. I've been with my wife for 19 years, so we were going through something. I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna go to this counseling thing, and I went, and I said, look, I don't believe in this shit. I think it's for weak people. I really do, but I'm gonna give it 100. You want to ask me a question? Ask me. I'm gonna answer it. You ain't gonna like me.
Yeah.
And she let me talk for like 6 months, man, asking me questions, cool as hell, brother. I've never believed in this. And I guess because we come from the street, because we see things real clear, man.
Real clear.
There's no coincidence on the street. Shit's happening because it's happening.
Yep.
And I had an epiphany, dude. She laid it on me, dude, so hard, dude. Like I was like, what the fuck, dude? I had an epiphany there in that room, dude. And to this day, I can count the times where kind of just a little bit, I don't raise my voice to my wife. I
Yep.
don't I don't cuss in her presence, like when I'm upset about something. If
Yeah.
there's an argument or disagreement between us, well, there's no argument, but disagreement. Hey, you know what? Let's just leave it there. And I man, you gotta man, if you're on a path, man, that you don't like, then you gotta find a way to change that, and you gotta
Yep.
embrace it, man. You gotta be willing to change it because if you
Yeah.
don't, you're gonna end up tomorrow in the same place. In 5 years, you'll be in the same place.
Yep.
Recently, I used to be real thin, like actually like you, Shamus. I used to be real thin, like you, man. you know, and when my family, my dad's family, they're real big people, man. I was always afraid of that my whole life, so I was always in shape. I was in really good shape all my life, and when I lost all my money, I went kind of in a weird way. I
Yeah.
started gaining a lot of weight, and I concentrated. I put everything into HPHS. And by 2019, I had ballooned from 185 in 2008 to fucking 349,
Wow.
and so I knew I needed to make a change, and so I started seeking help, man. I got help, and then I got the fucking. So I lost about 70 pounds, and I got the COVID, almost died. Took me about a year to get over it, and then I started hitting the gym, and I'm doing some really good improvements. I tell my guys, you want change, you got to go after it. And one of my
Yes,
guys
sir.
said, "Well, Charles, you always say you're going to lose weight, but you haven't lost weight." And I was like,
Okay.
hmm.
I'll take that.
Okay, motherfucker. Okay, man. All right.
All
You
right, I'll
want to
take
play?
it.
So I said, okay. So you know what, man? I went to the fucking gym. I hired a fucking. What happened was at the same time, my wife's doing a bikini contest. She works out a
Uh,
lot.
Uh-huh.
I went to go see her for the first time, work out, because she can do bikini contests. She wanted me to meet everybody. And I saw her working out like a dude. Like she works out like a dude. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
She has all these
yeah,
muscles all over her body. I said, man, sign me up, dude.
yeah. Got it. I can't let her beat me.
Yeah, man, sign me up, man. I can't. So I've been hitting the gym every morning at 5 a.m., 5 days a week. And
Let's
he's right.
go.
He
Yeah,
said, Charles, you tell us you got to do this, you got to change this, but you say you gonna lose more weight, but you haven't. What are you doing? And I
yeah.
was okay.
Yeah, but you need people. You need people in your corner that will check you on that. Like, yo, you said you're gonna do this. You said you're gonna do that. For me, like me and my wife, I don't know if you noticed, but we've been together 34 years since 14
Woo.
years old.
That's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
well, we've been together since we was 14 years old, and I always ask her the question, you know, what if there's one thing you could change about me, what would it be? And at one time it was like the way you talk to me, right? So
Mm.
I changed that. Like as soon as, because like you said, you gotta see the change and realize, yes, she's right or he's right. And then you gotta make that effort to try to change that. But I literally can count on one hand in 34 years the arguments that we had. Cause I don't argue. Like if I get mad about something, hey, I'm gonna go take a walk, I'm gonna go take a drive, I'm gonna go, and I come back, I'm not even upset no more. When we was younger, she was the one that used to throw herself in front of the door, you're not leaving. I'm like, well, you're gonna fall asleep there. And as soon as you fall asleep at the door, I'm gonna leave, but I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna argue with you. So
Yeah,
we definitely need that person next to us. Cause I believe that the most successful people, they have a woman that's been by their side for a long period of time. Because like when we lost everything, she was like, "If you sleep in a van, I sleep in a van."
man, dude,
You know,
man, you bringing out all the stuff in me, man.
you
I
know,
gotta admit, man, my wife sometimes she drives me, but I love that girl, man. She stuck with me, man. I was losing money left and right, dude. She was fucking working and just don't worry about it. And when you go from living really good and shit goes down,
it's hard.
and you gotta look at your wife every single day, and she knows that shit's going down, but she's a trooper
Yep.
and she's pushing, man, and she's there. You may not, I mean, we weren't having a good time. Let me be honest with you, man. We were having a rough time with each other, but she stuck it out, man. So I respect the shit out of her, man. And
Same.
you got to, man. I mean, I believe.
Yep.
I believe. I actually think that it was like you said, man. If I didn't have her at least 19 years, I don't know.
Same.
Maybe I would have thought of something else. Maybe I would have made that bad decision in 2011.
I could tell you I would have been on a video with El Chapo. Like, yo, this dude don't have nothing. He ain't got nothing to live for. This dude is on the run. Cause I used
Yeah,
to tell my buddies, I'm like, the one thing I pray for was to never go to jail. I'm
yeah,
like, the minute that judge says I gotta do more than 12 months, you gotta catch me. Like I'm changing my fingerprints. I'm going to Paris. Like you have to catch me. Like it's
yeah.
gonna be a real movie.
You'd be surprised,
Question.
man.
Do you read a lot?
I do, man. I'm a history nut. Before
Okay.
I changed my degree to business and finance, I was going to get a degree in history. I wanted to be a teacher, and then
Okay.
I figured out I couldn't be a teacher, for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
So I said, well, I'll go into business, and so I know a lot of history. I mean, I read a lot, man. I read a lot about stuff, Roman history, European
Hmm.
history, American history, South America. I read a lot, dude. But what I also like to read a lot is a lot about strategy.
Yeah.
So I like to read a lot, how people interact with each other.
Hmm.
Like some of my favorite books, like one of my favorite books is The Prince. You know what that one is?
No, no,
Machiavelli.
I never. Machiavelli. Oh, I love Machiavelli. Tupac Machiavelli.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I
Well,
know of
his
Machiavelli.
so Machiavelli was actually Niccolo Machiavelli was actually a real person in the 14th century,
Okay.
and he wrote a book called The Prince. Back then, when there was a new kingdom that would rise, he'd come and they'd offer the king all kind of stuff, And he wrote a book because he was an aristocrat. He wrote a book and he called it The Prince, and all it was strategy. And
Okay.
and this book right here, for many centuries, people made fun of it and they'd say, "Oh, you're being Machiavellian." Now, Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin proved what you could do the bad way with his teachings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Churchill Roosevelt and the other good guys, I guess, they proved what you could do with it the right way.
Right way.
So all
Okay.
these individuals read the teachings of Machiavelli,
Okay.
and not to go into a little quick thing, but just to teach you, just to show you how reading and educating yourself, not just about some bullshit on TMZ, will
Hmm.
teach you really really strong stuff, guys. I'm gonna just real quick. He once asked in the book, he wrote in the book, he said, why would it be easier to take down the French kingdom than it would be to take down the Greece at the time? And France was a world power back then. And why would it be harder to control France once you take it down, and it would be easier to control Greece? And people were like, "You're crazy! You can't take down France; they're world power." He says, "You can." He said, "All you have to do is corrupt 3 or 4 barons. You'll take down France because they would fight on your side to take down the kingdom, but then you would be have the hardest time to control it because
Yeah.
no Frenchman would allow a foreign power to hold France. And
Okay.
why would it be harder to take down the Greeks? Because they've been occupied for the last 800 years by the Ottomans, and they're going to do everything they can to fight to keep things the way they are because they're so afraid of the Ottomans that they'll fight on their side to the death. But once you conquer them, they're going to be so glad to get rid of the Ottomans that they're not going to want to lose their freedom again,
That's
and
smart.
so they'll fight you even harder. So the teaching behind stuff like that, guys, when you actually read information and you take that information, it allows you to learn how to conduct yourself with other individuals.
Yeah.
It allows you to read individuals, and that's why I read a lot, man. Thank you for asking that question. I actually do read a lot.
Yeah, I love reading. Once in 2018, 2016 to 2018, after we lost everything, what brought me out of it was I started picking up books. Like the
Hmm.
first book I picked up was The 4 Hour Work Week, right after I closed my company down. And I'm like,
Hmm.
yo, this dude is making fun of me because everything he says in a damn book is exactly what happened to me. And then I
Yeah,
was like, damn, if I learned so much from this one book, at one point I kind of slacked off. Now I do like 1 or 2 a month, but I was doing a book a week, sometimes 2 books a week just to take in information and stuff like that. So right now with me, my biggest thing is disciplining myself to do the things that I need to do to get to that elite level, to get to that Mamba mentality. And it's hard because sometimes you look at people like Kobe or Jordan and say, damn, do I really have what it takes to get there? Or do I even want to do that? Like, do I want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Do I want to, work out 4 times a day? But
yeah.
I think that when you find your purpose and you realize that you're doing this for the next generation, I think that's what will push you. Cause I don't believe in motivation no more. Motivation is temporary. Like if you're
Yeah.
if you're in a bad situation, you're gonna figure out how to get there to get out of it. When you get out of that situation, what's gonna keep pushing you? So I think that you have to find your
It's
purpose.
it's so funny to me. Like, you know, I don't want to forget this. So I'm gonna say the word determination. I'm gonna come back to it in a second. It's so funny to me how people like us, we grew up similar, 2 different cities, but we come to the same conclusions.
Yep.
We come to the same conclusions. Like me, I don't really believe in that motivational stuff. I understand it, and I can identify it, but I'm more about, hey, why don't we slip in there determination? You
Mm-hmm.
see, so it's one thing to be motivated or motivate somebody, but why don't you, if someone doesn't know how to be determined about something, why don't you identify it for them so they can see it? Because sometimes the button doesn't click on someone,
Yeah.
in someone's mind. You have to trigger it, and they're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
And then all
exactly.
of a sudden, their whole mindset changes because you
Yep.
can jazz someone up, man. They're fucking hyped up, boom, 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 and then the shit don't go right, and then like, oh
They're
man,
out.
they get discouraged. Like right
Yep.
now, before I came in here, I told my guys, hey guys, because I got a new guy.
Mhm.
He was at Aria. I saw him. He looked so determined. He's like 18 years old. He's a big dude. He's in here, and I walked up to him. I said, hey man, is your first time here? He said, yeah. I said, what do you want to do? He goes, I want to learn this business so bad. I said, you know what? My name's Charles. I'm the owner. Get in here. Boom. He's in my office. We're training him. He's going to be part of our team. And in front of everybody, I walked up to him. I said, I said, look, man, I say this to all my guys. Don't waste 2 weeks trying to get to know everybody. Be you right now today. Be a good person. Have
Mhm.
integrity. Do what you say what you're going to do and embrace 4 things, man. I call it DFND.
Okay.
Embrace these things, make them your friends. Okay, it's disappointment,
Mm-hmm.
frustration, negativity, discouragement. Embrace them, make them your friends. That's what I teach my guys here. Why? Like Charles, that's an oxymoron. You're supposed to be uplifting them. I said, I get it, man. That shit's gonna come by you being determined by trying to get what you want to get. But if you
Yep.
embrace these four things, when they come at you, because they'll come at you every single
Yep.
day. They'll come at you every single week, every single hour. You're gonna be frustrated, disappointed. You're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
discouraged, and you're gonna have negative thoughts. If you embrace them, it ain't gonna be shit because you know how to act with them.
Yep. Yep. You
So
brush your
so
shoulders off.
yeah, and so man, that's I'm just like you, man. I'm good. Motivate me, but hey, guys, I rather teach someone how to flip the script and
Mm-hmm.
and be determined about what they want to do, man. That's
Yeah.
that's my angle, man.
Yeah. Find their passion. That's the key. Find your passion, find your purpose, and just get to it. Yeah, man, this conversation is great, man. I always appreciate you, my brother. And it's funny because uh when we talk, in most cases we talk about other things, other than real estate, because we relate to each other, like you said, from where we come from and everything, man. So I definitely appreciate you. I want to give you a minute to tell the audience about what you have, like as far as your programs. I know you got this community that I think is phenomenal. The community, what type of events you host and things like that. I want to give you the floor to tell everybody that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. So, HPHS has been around for a long time. We do all the stuff that we say we do. We have a real functioning office. It's actually a beautiful office. So I love coming to work every day. We run a very private real estate advanced, I guess, an advanced real estate strategy group. It's called Alliance, and we've been growing that for about 4 months now. We have over 100 people in there, and Mike and I go in there once a week. We trade. He goes in there, I go in there, so they get it from two different perspectives. Sometimes we have
Mhm.
special guests that come in and will teach a very specific topic, and so the Alliance is really good for individuals who just want to take it to a new level. And they're on YouTube trying to figure it out. They're
Mhm.
paying a lot of money to someone trying to figure it out, and they can't connect the dots. Alliance is where people can come and really like level up really quick. And the other thing that Mike and I do in Alliance is we allow. People ask us questions, and we answer those questions. We run the largest association group in San Antonio, Texas, so we're blessed for that. And we also, and I don't like to pitch this, but I'm getting more and more comfortable with it. We do mentor. We don't we
Mhm.
don't really put it out there, but it's very one on one. I don't take too many people. It's very one on one. I took a lot of people at one time. It took me 2 years to actually get through everybody. I figured out you can't. Everybody wants money. All everybody wants money, but to
Yep.
really, really teach someone what you do, man, you can't take 50 people in, man. You got to take
Yeah. Nah.
handfuls of people at a time.
Yeah.
And I'll end with this. I can't say what it is right now because we're going to announce on Friday, this coming Friday. But
Okay.
we're doing something here in San Antonio that's going to be something nobody has ever done,
Okay.
and it's going to be fabulous, man. So we're going to be announcing it with Tino on Friday, and keep your eyes out for it. I think everybody's going to enjoy it, man.
Yeah. Good. 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 Good stuff. Hey, what advice would you give to anybody trying to get into real estate?
Well, my advice is this: first and foremost, is you got to try to learn the language.
Hmm.
The language of real estate. And there's various ways you can do that. And you can read a lot of information about real estate, but you have to, when you first start, you don't know the difference. There's traditional real estate, and then there's real estate investing. Real estate investing is a lot of stuff. There's single family, multifamily, dirt, commercial, and then there's different strategies in each one of those. There's a lot of stuff to learn, but you're not going to learn it overnight. What you need to do is focus probably on the easiest thing that will make you money immediately, which is probably wholesaling, and flipping.
Yeah.
And not necessarily you flipping, but if you find a wholesale, you can sell it to a flipper, and then you're going to make money. So, you can get on YouTube University, start learning the language. And
Hmm.
I tell people this: real estate is like going to church. If you know anybody in the word, they know the word. They know people
Yeah.
that are in the word. They know where to go get the word. They know the word, man. Well, real
Hmm.
estate's the same way. If you live in the word, right, you're living by the teachings of higher power. But
Mm-hmm.
in real estate, if you ain't doing real estate, if you ain't talking about real estate, if you ain't involved in real estate, if you ain't meeting people in real estate, then you ain't gonna learn this business, man. You got to
Yeah.
be in this thing every single day. It doesn't mean you got to be in it 24/7 like us, but you got to be touching real estate every single day. You got to be touching
Yes.
someone. You got to be going to events. So while I was just starting out, I started out by finding a good association. You're gonna figure
Mm-hmm.
out real quick if they're bullshitting or not. I start going to meetups. I start figuring out where the meetups are. I started looking at the individuals in my area of who's doing this stuff and figuring out who the real players are and who the bullshitters are. And then
Mm-hmm.
and then if you what you have to understand, guys, when you first start, you can't just come up to somebody and be like, hey, teach me.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
Let me
busy, man.
let me pick your brain.
Yeah, yeah, they're busy, man. You got to bring some type of value, and it's not
Yeah.
addresses. People say, "Well, Charles, I'm bringing you 10 addresses, bro. I ain't got time to look at 10 addresses.
Yeah.
Bring
Bring
me
me a
10
deal.
opportunities.
Yeah.
I'll teach you how to do that, and
Yeah,
then we
yeah.
can look at stuff."
For
So,
sure.
you got to get involved, guys, with the system of real estate. That means people, networking, the language, and trust me, the picture clears up real quick. You do about 60 days of that shit, and you're gonna be like, okay, I'm starting to understand.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
got guys that don't that are a month into this thing. They already I got a dude that we just paid. He came from Dallas, been doing it for 3 weeks. We just paid him a wholesale fee.
Yeah.
He took action. That's the
Yeah.
most important thing. You got to take
Yeah.
action.
That's the
And it's
that's the
simple. Don't
most
get
important.
afraid. Well, I want to talk to somebody. I don't know how to talk to somebody. It's just simple. Shamus, hi, my name's Charles. I see you got a property at 123 Main Street, brother. I'm interested in the property. Would you like to sell?
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's
that
simple.
simple.
Yeah, it's that
And then once you
simple.
learn the mechanics of a simple strategy like wholesaling, and you understand what you're looking for, all you're looking for is properties you can buy at a discount so you can sell to somebody who will buy it at a slight premium so that they can then fix and sell at the market value. It's that simple.
It's that
There's
simple.
nothing really complicated about it.
That's
You just got to
simple. It's
take
that
action,
simple.
man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Uncle Charles, tell everybody where they could find you, how they could get in contact with you and everything.
Simple, man. RealUncleCharles.com.
That's
So
it.
I had to go with the .com. I didn't want to do it because I don't like vanity. I don't like to be vain. But I
Yeah.
had to do it, man, because I had some imposers trying to coax people into buying their courses and shit. So now I just
Wow.
went with the realunclecharles.com. You can find all my stuff on there.
All right, that works. Hey, Uncle Charles, man, I appreciate you for taking the time out today. I got nothing but love for you guys. I got to bring you down to Atlanta. I'm going to hold you to what you said on the Mike podcast. I need to bring you down because that's something I'm trying to do in Atlanta is an event like Plugged In or Freedom because I think they need it here. They need, and,
Yeah.
and the majority of my friends are guys like yourself that I'm going to bring in. So I appreciate you taking the time out to come on the podcast. Everybody, go follow my man Uncle Charles if you want to get into subject to and creative finance. I think they're the best in the game. But once again, my brother, on this beautiful Friday, I appreciate you. Let me know if you need anything, and many blessings.